Hey there, and welcome to our latest episode of What's on the Horizon. I'm Lori Sharonbrack here with Chris Schucker of Digital Horizons, and we've been talking a lot lately about Motorized Shades, specifically your relationship with Lutron.
Yeah.
And I know that you like them because, well, one of the reasons is the breadth of that product line, and that they have both battery powered and hardwired. Are there like advantages or disadvantages to either of those products? One you recommend more than the other?
That's a broad
I know.
topic. Yeah, and that's okay. We'll probably keep this conversation to an hour or less, of course.
Oh,
so Lutron makes basically two primary types of motors. You either have one that's powered over low voltage,
Yep.
Or you have a battery powered motor. When you do a battery-powered motor, your communication with that motor to make the shade go up and down in lots of different ways, it's probably a different video, it does that wirelessly. So the most common way Lutron makes these really cool little, smaller than a credit card sized remote called a Pico remote.
Okay.
And I can take they're like $30. I can pair a remote to run literally any number of shades. So if you have a primary bedroom that has 5 windows and 5 shades, that one remote can talk to all of them and raise and lower them. And then, of course, it uses batteries for power. The alternative method is, and we do this during new construction primarily,
Sure.
We will run a 4-conductor wire to each shade. And that wire, 2 conductors of the 4, will allow us to power the shade. And then the other 2 are used for communication. And when you use that type of communication, usually you have like an in-wall keypad. You might have a control system like Control4 or Crestron or something like that. So those are the 2 primary methods. The benefit of both is summarized in a couple different ways. But when you have an existing home, you often don't have that low voltage wiring in place. So your only option is battery. Right?
Okay.
The benefit of battery is you don't need that infrastructure. You don't have the cost that comes with it.
Yeah.
And so your total cost of putting in a shade is less expensive. So the barrier of entry is lower.
Sure.
You do end up paying a little bit more per shade for a battery version, but the offset is more than worth it because the infrastructure, the remote power supplies, all of the other stuff that goes with hardwiring, I'll get to why hardwiring is better later, isn't present. So if someone's just looking to add a couple shades to a bedroom, especially if they're in an existing home, battery is phenomenal. Now, downsides to battery is you have to replace them.
Yeah.
Right? And there's several different methods that you change the batteries in a battery-operated Lutron shade, and it really depends on the shade that you have. At the very top end of the performance and aesthetics of what Lutron offers is a line called Palladiom.
Oh, yeah, we've written about that.
Just the word sounds luxury. They have these really cool extruded aluminum brackets. And then the tube and the motor and everything is concealed, and it's just ultra premium. It's the quietest motor they have. The batteries in a Palladiom shade can last up to 8 years.
Oh, gosh.
Depending on the size and the fabric and a few other things.
They're not, like when we say battery operated, sorry to interrupt you, but like we're not talking like a D, well, we're not talking like a D.
We are.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Like just a regular one you can buy at the store.
Yes. Now, with that said, and this is maybe another topic,
Sure.
You don't want to use just any D battery.
Certainly.
Lutron has performed extensive testing on who makes the best battery and the right battery technology. But it really is, the recommended battery is a copper top D cell alkaline battery. You do not want to use lithium. They do have some applications where they recommend lithium, but in most of their battery shades, it's a copper top battery. And then part of the onboarding process, and you'll have to remind me where we were talking before I go down this rabbit hole, but part of the onboarding process is they train you or us on ensuring that all of the batteries are absolutely at max capacity. So in some cases, a shade can use 5, 8, 12, or even 15 D-cell batteries. And just one of those batteries being at a different capacity than the others causes a chain reaction of reduction of power. And so the reason they get such good life out of D-cell batteries is because they specify the correct battery. They engineer their products to use the least amount of battery possible through multiple different means. And then they don't require it, it's just strongly recommended for good reason. There's about a $150 battery testing tool that we purchase. And every shade that we install that we put batteries into gets tested to verify it's at maximum capacity. And so with all of those conditions, the right shade, the right materials and everything, I've specified certain Palladiom shades that will operate up to 7 or 8 years, I think is the results that I got. So realistically, that number is probably not what would actually happen, just because they base it on twice a day and like real world conditions. There's a lot of things that affect it, but still a significant amount of time. So when you look at battery operated shades, in a lot of cases, they're just like a really good way to do things. But if you're doing a bunch of them in a home, you can run into issues of communicating with all of them at one time.
I get that.
And so that's part of the reason why a low voltage powered option is desired. Additional reasons why a low voltage hardwired shade would be ideal. You end up having, in a lot of cases, a smaller shade. And what I mean by that is, in some cases, depending on where you're at on the spectrum of what you're buying from Lutron, if you take a triathlon style of shade, for example, which is one of their more popular lines, the enclosure size shrinks because it doesn't have to have a
big motor,
a special compartment for the batteries. Because on triathlon, the batteries are below the motor and the fascia covers them up. In the hardwired version of triathlon, you just have a much smaller shade. So what that means is, instead of a 5.5 or 6 inch fascia, which covers your motor, your roller, and your batteries, now it's only 3.5 or 4 inches. So that means more of your view is preserved. And less is blocked. When you have a hardwired shade, you're never changing batteries. You never think about it. For the life of the shade, you will never have to replace batteries. You don't have the cost of it. And so it's just powered remotely. Usually we'll put a power supply in the mechanical room. But then additionally, the last thing is, if you're doing a large home and you want to integrate it into a platform like Control 4, Crestron, and you want a keypad on the wall to raise and lower shades, or you want it to be on your touch panel or on your phone along with everything else, it is much easier to do that in a hardwired shade. So long story short, both are very viable. We're before Lutron, we weren't a big fan of battery operated shades, but now that we've worked with them and we understand just how long you can actually get out of battery shades, I don't want to say you flip a coin, because there's viable reasons to do one or the other, but I don't hesitate in using battery shades in the case of Lutron. Maybe not so much with some other companies.
And there's another video that we did that's kind of like talks about that cost and that low barrier to entry, because I think, and I've even had that perception where I think motorized shades are too expensive. But really, when you're talking about the installation and the batteries lasting that long, or that hardwired option, like literally a set and forget it, it makes that barrier to entry not quite so onerous to think about. You're like, oh, I could put those in my house if I wanted to.
Absolutely. And they're designed, this might go without saying, but they're designed in a way that it's not hard for the end user, the homeowner, to change out the batteries. In the case of the triathlon shade, which is one of their more common lines, you do a press and release, the fascia moves out of the way, and then you've got a little cover to remove, and the batteries pop out, and you slide the new ones in. I mean, it's
even I can't mess that up.
No, I think you'd handle it. It's pretty straightforward, and it's the engineering that we see come out of them when they make their equipment is. It's really impressive.
And I just so respect what you guys, do from the product lines that you do. You don't get into anything that's not going to have good service or a good reputation, because it's your reputation too. So
people don't come to us. I mean, in some cases, in the case of bigger products like Lutron, we might get requested, like, hey, do you do Lutron shades? We'll go, yeah, of course. But in most instances, we're not getting asked for a specific brand of thing. They're coming to us, you're coming to us,
Yeah.
because of our reputation
Sure.
and what we've curated as a part of our lineup and how we
Yeah.
do things. It's no different when you go to buy your favorite truck. You don't walk into a Ford dealership and go, you know what? Does it have this brand of brakes in it? And if they say no, you walk out the door.
Yeah, that doesn't
You're like,
really.
you're buying a Ford truck because you like Ford and what they put together and how they
Right.
stand behind what they do. And
Right.
so Lutron is just an extension of that, that they, better than any other company we've worked with when it comes to shades in the past, they just really personify everything we want to work with.
Cool, cool. Well, thank you for all that. Stay tuned for our next video where we're going to talk a little more, I think, about the hardwired option, because we kind of went down the battery rabbit hole, and I think it's time to go down the
Sure.
hardwired rabbit hole. So stay tuned for our next episode.